This is Piero Bonamico, Creative Director of the Choral Excellence series. We have been producing and distributing books and videos that entertain, educate, and inspire since the spring of 1999, and we are very excited about our new podcast series and other online offerings. For more information about our videos, or to subscribe to the podcast, please visit us at choralexcellence.com.
What we're going to do now is we're going to pretend that we have Frisbees. I have a Frisbee, but since we're inside, we're not actually going to throw the Frisbee. But what I'd like you to do is follow the Frisbee with your voice. What's going to happen is we're going to take our Frisbee and take our right hand, and we're going to wind up this way, and then we're going to toss the Frisbee, imaginary, this way. And as we wind up, we'll breathe in. As we let go, we'll practice breathing out first. We won't actually make a loo sound. So would you please let out all of your old air? So when you let out your old air, could you do that silently? When you release your new air on, you have to make a sound because it's, here's what it'll look like. Again. So let out your old air, and let's wind up. Could we choose another consonant this time, maybe an S? Let's try that. And now what would happen, I'm going to move away for a moment, what would happen if that Frisbee were to go about 10 yards? Let's do it on S and see what would happen if that Frisbee went about 10 yards. Let's try it. Old air out, wind up, and release. Could you try that one on a Z, on a Z sound? Let's try that. Here we go, and that's 20 yards maybe, but I have a question. How high did that Frisbee go? Not very high. I didn't think so. I thought it stayed pretty low to the ground. Can you, in order to go 40 yards, it's going to have to go pretty high. Otherwise, it's going to crash into the ground. Needs more energy. Let's try it this time on zzz, and we'll go 40 yards. Old air out, wind up. I heard more energy, but I didn't hear a higher pitch. Could you try to follow the height of the Frisbee with the pitch of your voice, which means you might start out lower, go higher, and then gradually descend. Let's see what that would be like. All right, over there, let's try it again. Here we go with let old air out, wind up. All right, now the ice cream truck has just pulled into the field outside, and it is way far away. And the only way you're going to get the ice cream truck to come in and know that you're here is by throwing it far enough and high enough so the Frisbee then whacks against the windshield of the Frisbee truck, the ice cream truck, and says, yo, I'm over here, I want ice cream. So, let's do it. On zzz. Here we go, let it go, and open up, breathe, and I know what you all want. You just smashed the windshield. That was it.
There were Nerf balls, you know, I don't know, slinkies, balloons maybe. I saw a bunch of different things kind of laying around, and some were used and some weren't. Where were we going with this? What was the purpose?
Well, they were just a lot more fun for everybody. And, you know, you like to go shopping, so anyway. But what they were used for was props that we could use to make a point through physical activity. So each one of those was either a representation of movement or allowed us to actually move. I find that when we have kids sing, particularly middle schoolers sing, without physical involvement, they sometimes get so caught up in the thing I'm singing now that they get very stiff. And so, like you often do, I think, with younger students, but forget to with middle school students, we want to connect sound to emotion. So when a student is standing with a overly tight posture, where they're very rigid, we can say either relax, which doesn't usually happen, or we can force them to relax by giving them something to do. So, for instance, taking the Nerf ball underhanded, or the koosh ball underhanded, and then throwing it as they make a sound. The wind up is the breath in, which correlates to the opening of the musculature and everything that you want to stretch when someone's taking a breath, and the release being the onset of sound. One of the things I found was kids would take a breath in, hold it, and then release. And we know that holding the breath could be injurious to the voice, because we are artificially stopping the breath flow, and oftentimes that happens with the constriction of the muscles in the larynx. So if we can think of recycling the sound, up, that sort of thing. Start it first with breath and then add sound. So that morphed into all sorts of different games that you can play to get the kids to make a sound that is not scripted by the teacher. So you'll notice the first thing that I did was the ball toss. Again, underhand with the breathing and all. I made a sound and then had the kids toss the ball back to me, making another sound. So for instance, I might toss the ball to you, and I might go, boing, and you would toss the ball back to me and might do, whoop. So I know that your chosen pitch there is a little bit different than the one that I gave. And so I can get a sense of where your comfort level is with singing based on just the sound that you throw back to me in the moment, not thinking anything about singing. So what I often found was that if I just used the Nerf ball or the koosh ball or any one particular ball, I would get one particular sound back. But I started experimenting, and I'm not sure that there's a correlation here, but that's when I got to the idea of using different size balls and different color balls. For instance, you saw the one big, huge beach ball, I don't know, was it green or something like that? And that often got a different reaction than did the little tiny tennis ball or Nerf ball or something like that. And because there's something, you can't do it with one hand. And so if you're using both hands and you're throwing and you're tossing, you get this really physical reaction to making a sound. And I found that the kids would often make a lower pitch with the bigger ball and a higher pitch with the smaller ball, which led to eventually, well, what if the bigger ball was do, a medium-sized ball was me, and a smaller ball was so? So that led to that activity that you saw with the three different balls going around the circle at the same time. A new concept of harmony there, where we're building three simultaneous pitches rather than in a canon, like we did the friendship song, or other songs that are more polyphonic or in a round kind of situation. This way, it was definitely building the concept of harmony. And how we did it was we were in a circle. I first introduced the do ball and made sure that do was firmly established in the circle, because everyone, as they got the ball, sang do, and then remained singing do as they passed the ball, and so everyone was eventually singing do. Once that was firmly established, I introduced me, and finally sol. Did everyone get it? No. Some, no matter which ball they got, still sang do, but the neat thing about that kind of a circle and that activity where all students are actively engaged at the same moment, I then left the circle and was able to walk around behind and spot check students that weren't doing exactly what I had hoped they might do. And I could listen to what they were doing and maybe model for them the correct pitch that they were supposed to be singing. Could we sing do, re, mi, fa, sol? And some of you are going to sing it do, and whatever's comfortable for you. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. If you are on the, if you're in groups A or B, would you sing do? Start up there, please. Just you all folks. I don't know if you just heard that, but that was actually an interesting thing. Sometimes when a male teacher gives a pitch, some of those with higher pitched voices, an octave higher, will even go an octave above that. Similarly, when a teacher who has a high voice sings a low note, sometimes those with low notes will go even an octave below that. And that's just what happened. Could you sing my note first, which is do? Could you sing that? Do. Could all of those who are in groups A and B please sing that note? Thank you. Could you follow my hand and sing do, re, mi, fa, sol?
Do, re, mi, fa, sol.
And back down.
Sol, do, re, do.
Those of you who are in groups D and C, would you sing this here and go? Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Sol, fa, mi, re, do. Could those of you, could we add a little bit more energy to that? Do, here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Sol, fa, mi, re, do. Now, would we sing do, mi, sol? And those in groups B and A are going to sing do. Would you sing do, mi, sol? Thank you. Now everyone in your correct octave. Do, mi, sol. Thank you. This will be do. Eventually, I'm going to add mi. And I'm going to eventually add after that, maybe, sol. So when you get the green ball, you're going to sing do. When you get the blue ball, you're going to sing. When you get the yellow ball, you're going to sing. Let's practice it. Okay, first we'll start with do. When that's going well, I'll add the other ones. And by the way, catch underhand, slow motion. Do. Get it and pass it on with do. Do. What I'd like to do this time is when you get the ball, would you sing do and just keep doing it? The start when you join the do is when you get the ball. So you'll sing do and you'll take a breath whenever you're comfortable, always staying on do.
Do.
And then keep going do.
Do.
Thank you. I think that worked really well. We'll do that a few times. But how did I know what notes to use for you all?
By yesterday when you heard us all count back, well, most of us count back from 20 to 1, you had a feeling, you got a good sense of like what most of us like, what notes we usually start on.
And there's about, well, what did you hear?
Because you know which notes A and B and C and D, the groups sing.
And one more person? Yes.
I was just saying what she said. Yesterday you divided us into groups A, B, C, and D, which were general representations of our ranges.
Correct. And what happens when I did that, you did kind of what I would have expected, and that is you all sing about 6 notes the same, roughly from a G to about a D, or maybe an E, about G to E, somewhere in there. And those were the notes that we based this exercise on. They happen to be G, B, and D. Do, mi, sol. If we didn't change notes, I think that was a G, B, and D. And those are the notes that I aimed to start on because I knew those were notes you could sing. So how I would use props in a choral performance is if I had taught a particular concept and I was using, say, a tennis ball slit open in the middle so that when you squeeze it, it gets an open mouth, like, you know, and that's whatever your symbol is, to show I want a tall orientation to the vocal space so that the vowels are more oriented towards a north-south than an east-west. If I'm using a tennis ball for that, I don't need to go through at the beginning of the piece and do that kind of thing. I can simply pick up the tennis ball, which the kids will get a kick out of. And if at any point during the song, their kids are going to an east-west orientation, plop the tennis ball on the music stand. That sort of thing. It's a visual reminder. It's been tied to, depending on how you've used it, a physical reminder. And inherently in that moment, then you're using multiple learning styles at one point to enact and engage the imaginations of all of the kids. To me, that's not only more fun as a teacher, but it's got to be more fun as a kid.
We hope that you've enjoyed this sample from our library. For more information or to order the complete video, please visit us at www.choralexcellence.com. Thanks for watching.